Hello, Jaya. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Feeling fantastic. Super excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I like to introduce you to my users. As I told you, I have this application where my woman can track the period and ovulation, and it's quite a lot of ladies. And what's my interest to really deliver the best value, give them great impressions and inspirations. And when I met you in Maui, I thought this woman is really amazing. She can help in a partnership, in a relationship, to improve the intimacy. And what is better in a relationship than that? So maybe you say something about yourself, and I think that is the best. And I stop talking.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, hello, everyone, and I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm a somatic sexologist. For the last 20 years, I've been working with people with their bodies and have developed a system for helping people create more satisfaction and passion in their lives. And I love that you've created this app for women because it's also something we really need to take into account when it comes to pleasure in our bodies and our sexual health. We talk about four things which are part of what I'm going to teach today around erotic blueprints, but part of the blueprint is actually looking at biochemical shifts in the body and how our cycles affect emotion, how they affect our physical body, and how that can affect also energetically our system too. So I love that you're taking that into account, and what you've created for
Thank you.
women is so, thank you very much.
Beautiful. So this what I liked so much was especially that you showed even techniques how the man and the woman can work together and play around to find their senses. Um, because I think especially in a relationship where maybe the intimacy came a little bit, low, yeah, with these games basically you can fresh it up. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. The number one issues that I see people coming to me for are I have a low libido. I don't know how to connect with my partner. I don't know how to initiate pleasure. I like there's this disconnection that happens. And I also don't understand because we don't have a conversation around healthy sexuality and an understanding about how our bodies work, that we don't understand what we like, what turns us on, how do we communicate about that, how do we create more passion in our relationship. I see a lot of people who love each other deeply, they have so much love, or they're single and they really want to create love in their life, they just don't know how to go about it. We don't have a language around pleasure, sexual health, how do we do these things. And so what I've done is created a system to help people uncover who they are. I think it starts with really knowing who are we, so that we can then communicate that to a partner or to a future partner if you're looking for somebody to be in a relationship right now. Yeah.
Beautiful. You made this blueprint, yeah, it's I think the erotic blueprint breakthrough, and it's based on I think it's five different senses, right?
Yes, five.
And try,
Yeah, I'll talk about each one.
okay, I'm listening.
Great. So there are five different erotic types that are part of your blueprint map. And so the first one is an energetic. And an energetic is someone who loves space, love tease, they like anticipation in the body, they like to yearn. And so I want everyone to try this right now. You mentioned games, so I'm really into games because I am a somatic person. So just try like holding a hand above your hand like this, above your arm. And I want you to feel this, like there's all the anticipation of maybe my other hand's going to touch my arm, or do I feel heat, or do I feel tingling as I'm coming closer to my own arm. And notice your breath. And then you're touching before you're touching. And a lot of people don't think about this when it comes to touch and connection with your partner, that maybe they actually feel more here than they would if you're touching the skin. So some people feel more out here than you may be energetic if you actually feel more sensation here in the space. And so the closer you get, you may feel heat. Like I'm not touching yet, so I may feel some heat in my body. And then you could go to just touching the hairs on your skin
Okay, I like that
and
already.
just feeling the hair on your skin. And there might be some tingle, like a little sensation is touching the hair. And then you can just, like, I get a lot of tingles in my body, feeling just the skin. Very, very light with your fingertips touching skin. And so that's the energetic blueprint, and playing with it a little bit. The energetic also has a shadow part. And these are the things, Emily Nagoski talks about the brakes and the accelerator. These are the things that the brakes on your sexuality. And so we want to look at the shadow aspects of what stops me from really enjoying. And so an energetic could be stopped by, they short circuit because they actually feel so much. A lot of energetics who come to me, they say, I'm numb or I'm broken. But actually what it is they just feel everything so strong that their body short circuits because it's an overwhelm of information. And it's actually that they're hypersensitive. I actually just had somebody in my office this week who was just hypersensitive. And so if we slow down and we let the body assimilate the information, they actually have even greater superpowers when it comes to pleasure than a lot of the other blueprints. It's just that this is play with an energetic. No one taught you that this could be part of your map in the bedroom or with your partner. And so I see a lot of energetics just get really shut down in this area. They numb out. They don't know how to have really good boundaries. They think they're weird, that they like touch off the body. And so there can be a disconnect with partners. If your partner's an energetic and you're hearing me talk about this, or maybe you're going a little too fast and you need to really slow down and give them space. And then that allows their body to breathe, and that allows them to feel more when they do that. So that's the first one. Should I go on to the second one?
I just like to say something, because in Maui it was very impressive to see. There was one guy and he came and he lay on the table, and you just had your hands up, and he was going really wild, and he had his eyes closed. I think you blindfolded him, so he really didn't see anything. I just like to mention this to my users, because I think many people can't even imagine that these different types of sexuality are there. I think many really just think there is one kind of sex and we work together, or it doesn't work, but they don't see these really differences. And I like to mention it, especially, you say it's 5, or we make it simple, we call it 5. So we have this energetic, what we was talking right now, where it's really not about touching, where it's really about energy, where the people feel each other even from a distance over 10 meters or whatever. They feel there is something, they just can't organize it in their system for now, because they have no idea what's going on, but there is something. And when they're aware of it and really maybe go into it, they can feel that sexuality that happens from that one specific person that's going out there. And if this person is aware of it, they can send it even back. So it's really an amazing game even you can play with and enjoy it without touching. Is this right?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. So this is something we demonstrate frequently, which is how I can have an orgasm, or I can have a lot of pleasure in my body just from not even being touched, like my partner being way out here. And I can enjoy that. So yes, this is something we demonstrate a lot. And that man was he'd never had that happen before.
Yeah.
So I see it on my table a lot as somebody who has trouble with arousal or trouble with pleasure. And then we feed them energetically and they're going, what is this?
Yes.
I had no idea I was even capable of experiencing this. And now I'm experiencing this thing. So I definitely think that this is something that needs to be part of the conversation, because it helps us then understand, I'm not weird. I'm not wrong. I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. Because I really think that the majority of people out there think that they're weird, broken, wrong, that this is part of, I'm not normal. And I want to say to everybody, you are normal. You are not broken. You are beautiful and enough just the way that you are. Yeah.
That's beautiful, because really I think this is very important for many people to know.
For sensual?
Please?
Yeah. Are we ready for sensual? Do you want to play
Definitely. Go for sensual. Yes.
Yes, for sensual, sensual, sensual. Okay, great. So sensuals, unlike energetics who love space and anticipation, a sensual is really turned on by all of their senses being ignited. So they want smells. They want to smell something lovely and delicious. They want sounds. They want tastes. And they love closeness. So the energetic, like space, a sensual loves closeness. You froze a bit, so I'm just want to check in to make sure that you can hear me. Maybe we
Oops.
froze.
I think, yes, I'm frozen. I look quite funny right now in the video here. How can I use this? Unbelievable. I didn't see
But I
it
hear you
earlier.
again. So.
I look like monkey. So, okay, better.
So that could be the little sensual shadow coming in that says, maybe I don't look good in this position. Maybe things aren't right. Like in the shadow, we think about things that really turn us off because our brain goes 100 miles an hour. So I had a client who he was turned off because there was a mess in the room. So it might be that a sensual looks at the environment and goes, oh, that's not right, or the touch isn't right, or maybe my body's not right. And we go into that judgment, and that really stops us. It puts a lot of the brake on our sexuality.
I think this with the senses. I think I made a test, and
So
I think I'm here again. You stopped.
Okay.
Okay.
How much do I need to back up?
Okay. I think we have to find us again. It was a little bit breaking. Okay, that's technology. You was talking about the senses, and I heard you very well. I made your test, and it came out I'm sensual.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Super sensual! Yay!
I still think I'm one of this. We come at the end this shift shapers, yeah. But definitely, my second test still tells me I'm a sensual, and definitely I have this. I really like closeness. I like touch. I like to have all my senses basically filled. I like to go into things. Yeah. I think everyone has everything in him. Everyone has some energetic. Everyone has a little bit. But I think we are talking here about what is our core, where we always come back, where we feel most close or connected with ourselves and the others. Yeah, sensual. Perfect. This is the second one in the blueprint, right?
And I love that you just said everyone has a little of everything. So we have a little of everything. And the quiz, if you go and take the quiz, it will give you percentages of each one. And one of the blueprint types is a shapeshifter. This is usually the last one I talk about, but let's go there because I think they get left out because we don't have time to talk about them. But the shapeshifter is someone who loves and enjoys all of these blueprints. They love it all. They want it all. Their superpowers, they can shapeshift to any one of them. On the shadow side, they're often shapeshifting to please others. And therefore, they tend to not be fed as much in their blueprint because they're shifting all the time to please other people. And another thing, they could often feel resentment in their body because it seems like everybody else is just getting started, but actually they are nowhere near finished. And so we might be a half an hour, an hour in, and they're like, things are just getting started.
Can I hook in here? Because I think one important thing is also, we are talking here about orgasm and the feeling. I think it's not about the climax itself. I think many people, when they think about orgasm, it's always just the climax, the hot spot, and it's then, and it's gone. Yeah, we are talking here about the sensation itself that is building up from the sexuality, that is building up in the intimacy, that we really feel full, that we feel fulfilled with ourselves, with our partner, that orgasmic feeling. So it's not about that, what just many see and maybe compare with a porn or whatever, it's just done. It's way more the connection with the partner. It's way more that sensation. Is it right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I think that there's different things that we can delineate here, which is there's climax, which is great too. I mean, for especially the next blueprint I'm going to talk about, the sexual, that's very important. So there's climax, there's orgasm, which is what you were just talking about, and then there's orgasmic state. And that's living in a state of bliss, of pleasure. I know Tony Robbins talks about the beautiful state.
Yes.
That's living in a state where your body is in high energy.
I think this is the most important. I think this is a blessing if people understand this one, because if living in this state, yeah, I think your life is just changing completely. If you are living in that orgasmic state, if we call it like this, then people will be just more fulfilled, they will be more happy with their partner, with their kids, in business, whatever it is, because it's not about sex in that case, it's about the feeling, about the fulfillment.
Yes. Yes. And I want to back up on that we have to expand our definition of sexuality. I think one of the issues is that we have such a limited definition because the majority of us have never experienced what's really possible. And I don't say that to make anybody feel wrong or broken. Again, you're not broken, you're normal, and you are enough. But there is this next level, and most of us only taste the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. And so this conversation about, well, what is possible, that's what I'm really interested in, and something I'm constantly exploring, because our definition and our understanding and our experience of sexuality is this much. There's so much more to experience.
That's beautiful. And you're doing this since 2 decades, right? You're doing this quite a long time, really serious studying about it. It's quite a long time.
Yes, I most of my life to it, but as a profession, I've been doing it for 20 years, over 20 years now. And that's where the blueprints came from. It came from all of my experience working with people. And then I really started honing in on this about 6 years ago, and then have been developing it and testing it, and now really bringing it in the last year to the world in a very big way.
Perfect. So you are best-selling author also. I think you made 2 other books. Is this right? Or 3?
I have 4 books, actually. And a lot of them, and here's something interesting to talk about, because before I really started teaching about erotic blueprints, I wrote books on sexual technique. And I think that when my partner and I started struggling in our relationship, it wasn't about me knowing more sex techniques. And this is where the blueprints were really born. I knew all these sex techniques. I'd written books on all these sex techniques. But we had a different disconnect, was that I spoke one blueprint and my partner spoke another blueprint. And so that's where our big breakdown was. And maybe those of you listening hear a past relationship, or maybe the current one that you're in, where you just feel like you're not feeling seen or met or heard in the relationship. And that could just be a differing of blueprints. We just did a class on epic seduction fails, and I was talking about all the times that I failed because of the way that I was coming to Ian to initiate our closeness and our intimacy was not in his language. He's a sensual like you, and I'm more of a sexual energetic. So we had a big disconnect happening because of the way that I was approaching him and the way that he was approaching me. And it was a lot of pain. And I don't know if late to the story, but I was building up a lot of resentment. I kind of had one foot out the door of a relationship because I felt like I was never going to get my needs met here. Luckily, that all turned around and we have a really hot and juicy, amazing, very close, connected sex life today.
I really, really love that to hear, because this is one of the last things I like to mention. It was about when we have this connection with our partner, and this is even because this application is for women, and this application usually they check even to get babies, yeah. Some like to avoid it, but I think when you are in connection with your partner, then even this topic of getting a baby is easier, yeah. Because if you are already have half foot out, why you think about a baby? It would not really work out. And if you are in your connection with your partner, then also this topic can be way more fulfilled, and it's benefiting for the child also, because you see your parents all the time happy.
Yes, and if you're creating a child in like, think about the difference of creating a child in a pleasure state, in an orgasmic state. When you're in that state, all of the hormones the baby gets bathed in that state versus a state of disconnect, it just makes all the difference in the world. So I think we oftentimes don't talk about creating babies and pleasure and how the two of them are tied in, but
now you are blocked. I don't hear you right now. Jaiya, right now I don't hear you. I don't see you. 1, 2, 3.
Let's make babies in high pleasure. I think that really ties in. We need to look at those 4 categories: the emotional state, the chemical state, which you're covering.
Jaiya, can I just plug in? Can just stop your video for a second, because now you are frozen, and start it again. Just the video itself, not the Skype. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Okay, we had a small drop in the line right now, and we was talking about fertility and how this could even benefit the child that come out of this beautiful state.
Yes. So one of the things that I was sharing was my own story about how I was told by 3 doctors I'd never have a child. And it wasn't until I tapped into pleasure that I got pregnant. And so I now have a little 8-year-old guy. I'm giving him 10 years, but he's only 8. He seems like a 10-year-old. And it became out of me finding my pleasure. It came out of me because pleasure has something to do with fertility. So it affects the tilt of the cervix. It affects how the cervix pumps. And so there is a correlation between pleasure, orgasm, and orgasmic state. And look, when you have a child in a state of pleasure, how beautiful that is. Yeah. So let's continue on the blueprints.
Okay.
Should we talk about the we haven't talked about? So there's the sensual, the energetic. I talked a little bit about the shapeshifter. The next one is the sexual. And the sexual is turned on by certainty. We like to have the certainty of nudity and orgasm and pleasure and intercourse, and we're the ones with a very limited definition of sex. I am primarily sexual, and with my partner Ian, I also have very, very strong energetic, and we even have more than one that are up high, so I'm a sexual energetic. The shadow side is that we tend to forget that all the other blueprints exist. Mm-hmm. We think that our way is the way, and we also live in a culture that is more sexual, and so therefore we don't see that the energy exists or the sensual exists. We think sensual is mostly for women, but it's not. There are many men, my partner included, who are very sensual. So if you're listening and you hear that you and your partner might be a different blueprint, I want to say it's not that you're incompatible. A lot of people think, oh, we're different or we're sexually incompatible and that's the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is that you've never learned about sexuality and how to speak each other's languages. So if you just think about it more as if it's a language, then it's just learn French, learn Italian, learn Persian, like learn the language, and therefore you can feed each other. Yeah. That's what it's about. And that's what the disconnection is more. It's just no one taught you. And now we have a language to learn. And then you can feed each other and you can honor your own blueprint in that.
So learn one common language, you can really communicate with each other. So even if one speaking completely different than the other one, but if you learn one language together, it's like with the 4 love languages, this other book, then you can really work on each other and you understand suddenly.
Absolutely. And so the final language, if we're gonna talk about the final one, is kinky, and that's anybody who's turned on by something that's taboo. So that's outside of your box. It doesn't mean the things we often think about when we go to that. It can, but we want to talk about what is out of the box, what is taboo for us. And that can be any number of things. In the shadow side, it's shame. It's shame of who I am. I just want to be accepted for my desires. We judge ourselves again. It's the one that judges ourselves most as broken, wrong, weird, like an energetic. We can say, oh, I'm not normal like everyone else. But really, you are. It's a normal expression of your sexuality, and you're not broken again. And really the shame that I think we all harbor some shame around our sexuality, but this blueprint in particular harbors it the most. And some people are more psychological based, some people are more sensation based in this blueprint. And so it could be something that lives and exists in your mind more than in your body. And it's about recompense for some people. Mm-hmm. So those are all 5. I've talked about all 5, the energetic, the sensual, the sexual, the kinky, and the shapeshifter. We've got them all in there, and maybe you hear yourself in one of them or 2 of them or a couple of them. But the first step is really determining what is your blueprint. That can happen through touch. You know, like I was demonstrating with the energetic. Sensual's like a little bit more firm, playing a little bit more on the body. And so we all have different kinds of touch that we enjoy. So you can determine determine it through the body, but we have the quiz online that people can take. I'm sure you'll provide them a link to go find that. So taking the quiz, that can help you determine it and start the conversation. I think part of the issue around sexuality and where we need the most healing is the silence. Because we've had so much silence, because we don't talk about it, we feel isolated, broken, wrong. We don't know how to talk about it. And we need to start a conversation in a community, because once we start that conversation, we can have the education, the level of connection, and the compassion for one another when we start that conversation.
Beautiful. I thank you so much. I mean, for every user right now, we will look for, put the link there for the quiz first. And I know Jaiya even made an amazing video series. You can really learn more about all the blueprints. You can learn all the techniques and so on. And what I saw, it's really just amazing. And I can just talk from my own experience. I met this beautiful woman. It's outstanding how she teach all that stuff. And you will just benefit from it. You will benefit. Your partner will benefit. Your kids, your friends, just go for it. Get some new experience in your life and just enjoy. Thank you so much, Jaiya.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
To hear more from you. Bye.